welcome to Monday Minutes. My name is Kelly.
And my name is Jessie. And this week we thought we would talk to you about donations and gifts. A lot of times we get questions that come in support, or even when we're talking to a potential library that says, how can we track donations? Whether it's a professor or faculty member that's either retiring and they're cleaning out their office, but they're gifting you an entire collection of journals, or you have a local individual and you're at a public library and they donate a ton of titles that you can add to your regular collection. We are going to show you today how to set this up in acquisitions. That way you can track all of your information.
This is super exciting because this used to not be so easy to do in Koha because you couldn't put things as a $0 amount, but now you can. So it's really exciting to show this process.
So what we're going to do is we'll start in acquisitions. Now, we did do a little prep work before we jumped in here today. So we'll say the first thing we did was we created an actual fund code in our budget. So you'll see here we've created fund code 6204, again, just for our test site here. And we called it donation and gifts. Now, again, you can use whatever language you want for your library. But the thing we do want to highlight here is that you can enter a zero value. As Kelly mentioned before, you would have to enter in a 0-1 value within the system to track that. But now you can enter in a value here. Any extra notes or anything that you want to put in there, that will be step one. Step two, you want to make sure that you have some type of vendor or a way to track these donations and gifts. Because again, you're going to come in and create a basket within the system.
Yeah, these are big pieces of that acquisition module. So if you've never used the acquisition module, but you do want to track donations and gifts, know that this is possible because it really has nothing to do with money, but we have the ability to add this data and then able to report on it at the end of the year.
So we've created, again, just a vendor called Donation and Gifts, which allows us to set that information up. And of course, you can add any additional information in there. Now, the next step you'll want to do is you'll want to create a basket. Now, we did create one in there just so we had an example. You can see we have a basket called Professor Bilbo, and that shows us a donation that individual made. You can see we kept it at $0, put it under our donations and gifts. If we look at that particular title, we can see that information. We can see the statuses. And again, we could put any type of note in there. If you want to put in a public note or a non-public note, again, you can track all of that information right within the system.
Yeah, I love the idea of a note, Jessie, whether that's at the acquisition level, and then they could see that in the circulation, just that, it was a donation by whomever. So that was nice.
Yeah. So why don't, Kelly, we'll go through the process of creating one real quick in the system. So let's say we got a donation from a member of the community, and we're going to say this is, Patricia Smith. Again, internal note, we could just say, donation from our former library director.
That's good.
Whatever it may be. And then save it. And then you would follow the same process as you would for any other acquisitions. However, you're adding to the basket, whether it's an existing record, a new or empty record, or if you want to use that Z3950 target. And then this just allows us to come in here, fill out our information.
What would be really awesome is like, somebody at Home Depot heard we were, lending out shovels, and then they donated a whole bunch of more tools that we could donate. That would be really awesome. And another detail you could do in this process is an internal note or some sort of data point to say how much it actually costs. So at the end of the year, you could report on how much you saved by donations or something.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So we'll put a public note in here, donation, or as Kelly mentioned, donation from Home Depot, wherever it's coming from. And again, you'll notice as soon as we add that item in, it will update our information. When we hit our fund, we can add our donation and fund. We're going to leave that at 0. And again, any internal or vendor note you want to put in here, donation from Pat Smith, and then save it in there. And then again, this is just a great process for you to be able to grab all those donations if you want to track them right within acquisitions. Once you've added them in, you can close the basket out. And then from there, it's the same process with your acquisitions, receiving and adding any additional information in.
Yeah, it's really fantastic because again, I will harp on the data. It's all reportable. So whatever you put in there, you have it to be able to report at the end of the year. Or if Patricia Smith's family comes by, you're able to find all that material really easily, what you donated, and now that's part of the collection.
Kelly, why don't we talk about what would we do if we weren't using the acquisitions module?
Yeah, you could absolutely add those records into Koha. You could use the source of acquisition in the item holding, which is subfield E, and put donation. You could put that person's name. You could use a non-public note or a public note in the item for a donation, or you could put it at the mark level. Wherever you want to add that information in, you have the ability to do that. So again, you could write a report to find that information. If source of acquisition, subfield E, says donation, then you could run and find out everything that was donated. And there's your notes. Yep.
All right, perfect.
So either way, you can do it. It's just great to know, for staff to know, and for you to have that information, and just multiple ways to do it.
All right, this is great.
This is great. Well, have a great week.
Have a great week.
Thank you.